Hi everyone, this is Caly. I've got a card today that is a shaker card using a Lawn Fawn set called Ready, Set, Snow. Now there are matching dies for this stamp set and I only have the dies that cut out the actual images. There is another die that also makes the shaker card. You don't have to get that. Obviously, I'm going to be creating a shaker card today without those dies. So to get started here, I'm going to be stamping with Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I plan on coloring these images with Copic markers. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp all my images here, again with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm just picking out all of the stamps that I want to ink with this particular color. And then I'm going to stamp those trees as well, but since they're solid and I'm not going to be able to color them later, I'm going to go ahead and use Garden Green Stampin' Up! Ink. I know there are a lot of dye inks out there, but Stampin' Up! Is what I have. It's what I started with, and I've been happy with them. I would love to be able to expand my ink collection, but we all know how much that costs. So for now, I am just going to use what I have and continue to try to keep up with all the new stamp sets that are released every month. We all know our troubles with that. So I am also using Sandy Allnock's hex chart there. You saw it on the side because I had to look at it several times to decide what colors I wanted to use for this coloring process. For the base of the stamp, the snow globe, I'm using E25 and then darker with the E27. Kind of want the darkest colors to be on the ends there, trying to make a sheen, kind of glow towards the center of the snow globe there. And then I decided I wanted one more dark color, so I decided to use E59. So I'm going over that very bottom trim as well as on the ends again, and then blending it with the lightest E25 color that I chose for that. Now for the tag, I wanted to have a gold color. So I'm using the Copic Gold, which is Y28. I go ahead and I color that whole thing, and then I decided I wanted that to also have the same look as the base. So I'm using a darker color as well to color the ends in the fig color there, which is E87. So I'm going to blend that, and I noticed that it didn't blend too well. So what I do is I take the Y28, which is the lighter color, and I'm picking up some darker color from the E87 and then blending that out. I wanted it to also shine, so I am using my Wink of Stella brush here in gold. And I could have used clear. I decided to use gold because I don't use gold very often, and since that's the look I'm going for, I decided to also use that for this project. It does add some color to your project, so just keep that in mind. Clear seems to be the way to go if you don't want it to alter the look of your coloring at all. Now for the snowman, I'm using some cool grays here, and that's C0 and C3. I'm just blending two colors for these images because it's a smaller area. And really for, the smaller areas like the snowman's nose, you really don't need two colors. I ended up using two colors for everything anyway. So once I'm done blending that, I'll go ahead and work on the snowman's nose and their accessories. The colors are on the left there, so I won't try to repeat myself and say each one. But here is my favorite red combo. I know I use this a lot, but it's what works for me. So I use R29 for the lighter and then R39 for the darker. I wanted to show you as well here, I got some Copics on my desktop, and you can easily clean that up using some rubbing alcohol. I use an alcohol swab. That's just what I had in my drawer, and it's easy and accessible. And also here, sometimes when you color outside the lines, a lot of people try to push the color back in using a colorless blender. And I find that the easiest way to fix any mistakes is to use a Sakura Jelly Roll Pen in white. So it's kind of like a whiteout marker. So that works well for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and die cut all these pieces out. And to make the snow cone window shaker portion, I am using these smaller plates called On the Edge. They're made by Sizzix, and you don't necessarily have to have them. I'm just using them because I've had them for a while and I've never used them before. And I found these circle nested dies by Simon Says Stamp, and this third one from the smallest die seems to fit right in that snow globe area just perfect. So I am going to leave what I don't want to cut off hanging and run that through my die cut machine. And then I'll run it back through again just to make sure that cuts well. So here you can see where it cuts and where it stopped. And I just need to cut that inner portion out using my self-healing mat here, as well as either a pair of scissors if you don't have a retractable knife. I have a retractable knife, so it's what I'm using, and I'm just going to use a ruler to help me guide and make a straight line across that cut. Now I decided to not go ahead and straighten out those lines that you see that are curved in from the circle die. It looks just fine if you don't straighten it out. I didn't want to mess anything up, but it looks fine to me. So I hope that that's okay as well for you. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out and line up the backing, and I decided I want the background to have a sky color. So I'm using some Copic markers. This is B00, I believe, and I'm going to color the background really softly with that. And then there's a stamp here to kind of stamp a snowbank. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with some Memento Tuxedo black ink as well. And when I'm done doing that, I'm also going to cut out a window sheet so that I can glue that to the shaker portion of that top panel. I'm going to trim that, and then I'm going to glue it with some multi-medium matte glue. It's a strong adhesive and dries matte, so you don't get a tackiness from what dries afterward. So this is a great glue for this. I'm going to set that aside and let it dry, and now I'm going to be layering my stamped pieces onto this snow globe. I'm going to layer the trees, and then I'll layer the snowmen. I wanted it to kind of have a 3D effect, so I'm kind of layering it in front of each other, and then the snowmen in front of the trees and right next to each other there. I'm also using multimedia matte glue to glue these on, just because I already had it up on hand, but if you want to use other adhesives, you obviously can do that as well. Now for the window portion, I don't have any thin foam, and I don't have that other die to make the shaker portion so that it will cut out the foam for me just perfect. So I'm just using Scotch 3M foam tape, and I'm just going to be cutting them into strips, and then I'm going to be fraying one end of it, and you'll see me do that here in a little bit, so that it will help me curve the foam around that circle globe to help me fill in that area there for the top. So here I'm just using my scissor, and I am cutting little frays or fringes on the foam here, and I'm not letting it cut all the way through, but if you accidentally cut all the way through, it's okay. You just need to glue it down in smaller sections. So this is a great alternative to making a shaker card if you don't have that shaker die that comes with this particular set. And you can do this with a lot of different images as well. So when I'm done doing this, I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper, and I will go ahead and add some sequins and some micro beads to my shaker portion. I am going to use some small moonshine 3mm sequins, as well as some iridescent ones, and then I'm going to use some little beads in white as well as iridescent as well. And those micro beads are found at Joann's. You can get them anywhere in a jewelry making aisle. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and glue my last image here, which is the Ready Set Snow tag. So I'll glue that on using some multimedia matte glue, which I had on hand, like I mentioned earlier. And I decided to go ahead and put this on a card and card panel, and I wanted it to have a background, and I couldn't figure out what to do. And so, just so you know, when you buy products directly from Lawn Fawn, they are so great about giving you a little thank you gift. Sometimes they give you a little stamp, and sometimes they give you a bunch of samples of their paper. So that's what I'm pulling out to find here. I was just deciding which one I wanted to use, and this was the one I wanted to use. So I'm using Simon Says Stamp Stitch Squares, and I'm going to cut this one out. It's about 4 inches. So once I cut that out, my card base is going to be 4.5 by 9. So I go ahead and score that down the middle and adhere my paper, and then I'll adhere my tag, or not my tag, I'm sorry, my snow globe shaker portion to that. And that is the end of my card. I hope you've enjoyed it. It was a really fun card, and my 2-year-old really loved it. So he held it for a while until I decided that it was time to take it back and hang it on my board. If you like this card, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't already. I have 2 other cards I wanted to share here. Another Lawn Fawn card on the left using a fall scenery. And on the right is my holiday card. So if you haven't decided to make one yet and wanted to make something quick, check out that video. Thanks for watching.